Hello and welcome back to Primo Calcio. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a double cast here, going over the Supercoppa
Ooh.
Italiana as well as the Week 19 review since it was a shorter week. I am Michael here with Anthony again. How you doing, Anth?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm doing great. It's time. We've let we've let the emotions simmer and
Yeah,
now settle.
yeah, we're
And
not we're
now it's
not
time for
coming
the
through with
proper
as early as we wanted to, but alas, here is the review. All right, so
alas.
I say we start with Supercoppa. So let's go with game number
Yeah.
one: my team versus your team. Milan versus
Was that or
Juve.
was it Atalanta was the first game?
No, we just wanted. We already did that one in the past, but yeah, we'll go
Oh,
over
we did?
just
I
what happened on
forget.
the weekend. Just what happened on the weekend.
It
So
was a snoozer.
yeah,
Yeah.
we will do
Okay.
the Milan versus Juve.
Yeah.
And since these are kind of more exciting games, anyways, so this is the big
Yeah, these are
story
better.
is Conciececao's first game at Milan. Came there
Yeah.
with 3 days. He was sick with fever. So was Jimenez actually, but I don't think Conciecao is going to accept Um, things that aren't going to make you like true injuries will keep you out. Otherwise, if you can play, he's probably gonna make you play. There you go. So you're
Yeah, I mean
already
your
seeing
first week
that.
there, you got your new manager. I mean, you're not gonna that's yeah, come on now.
Yeah, if you're like
Gotta
truly under
suck it
the
up. Take those
weather,
good drugs,
yeah.
baby. They got the good shots. They'll be all right.
So they started off Juve with the initial goal, and then it was the second half comeback, which is basically the story of both games. What did you think about the game? What did you think about the performance of both teams? Um,
Well,
you could start,
we
then
were
I'll kind
watching
of
this
go through.
together. Yeah, we
Yeah,
were watching
yep.
together, and you're like, "Oh, you guys playing really good. They look awesome, man. They're playing really well." I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah. Just keep fucking watching."
Juve played great. They actually looked like some of the best version of Juve that I had seen. Um,
Mhm.
the first goal, everybody's blaming Teo, and he really did have poor marking on that one. But what people don't see is how easily Mangula got around Fofana to even make that pass. And then Thiago slows down and doesn't actually cover Yildiz hard. He kind of jogs at him. But it is, yes, number one on Teo, number two on Fofana, number three on Thiago. And honestly, it was a good shot, but Magnan just got smoked. Either
A
way,
couple next gen kids linking up there.
right? Yildiz was, I thought, amazing all game long, though.
Hmm.
That's
Yildiz is our best player.
that's the top talent right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's our best player. A 19-year-old is our absolute most classy best player we have.
Yeah, he's got a very,
He
very
busts his
bright
ass
future
every
ahead
game.
of him. Very bright future.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
And I was glad, they put him on the right. I'm so sick of this cut inside bull crap. I think, the Napoli fans realized, how bad of an idea that is. It's how much it slows down your attacks. And it's nice seeing a guy just being able to burn down the side and rip and not have to cut inside on his preferred foot. So that it was definitely nice to see. So maybe we'll see more of that throughout the season, or at least maybe Motta will bench his doughboy Coop Miners and put Yildiz in the middle like he's supposed to.
yeah, Coop was still bad. He was still unnoticeable. He lost the ball
Terrible.
a lot. I would say McKennie
Yeah.
from Juve had a great game. I thought he was super active, all over
Mhm.
the place. He was working really hard. Really though, as much as I want to say, like Milan had a nice comeback. And I think we'll get more into that during the Inter game. Uh, it was kind of more UA's implosion, to be completely honest. It was
Total
just,
implosion.
I
Yeah.
thought it was great that, I mean, and that doesn't happen without Milan's pressure, of course, but it was definitely UA's implosion. Locatelli, who I actually thought was having a very good game before that, that challenge on Pulisic was really dumb. I
It's
mean,
unnecessary.
Pulisic is running, and I have it on replay right now. The ball is kind of towards the edge of the box right now. It gets crossed in. Pulisic is running to the ball towards the edge of the box, away from the box. He's not even running into a danger zone. What is the point of making that challenge? If Pulisic gets the ball, he collects it, probably runs a few steps outside of the box, and there's no harm, no foul. It's not even a dangerous spot. There's no danger there, and Locatelli makes a challenge. Just let it go. There's zero benefit if you win that ball, and it's really risky. So that was just a bad challenge all around. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely bonehead.
that's
Absolute
Locatelli though.
bonehead play.
He'll be
That
great for most of the
exactly.
game, and then one bad thing.
it's just a symptom of a team that lacks class in general. I mean, like these are things you can't do, and when the pressure mounts, like the first half of the game, there's not much pressure. Okay, but it's still the Juventus Milan match. Okay, and now the pressure's getting there. The pressure's on. The game's getting tighter. We're running out of time. We're trying to get to the finals. That's when we crack. That's when we choke. That's why we choked last week. And every single game this season where we've pushed these draws have typically been from implosions because we have a severe lack of class and don't know how to handle pressure
Yeah, there's
situations. And
also a very big
this
lack
is
of
where
leadership too.
100% that's yeah, lack of class, lack of leadership. And like that was our captain Locatelli making that play. That just
Yeah,
goes to
I
show
mean
you
like that,
how.
that's who you have to have as a captain. As much as I think Locatelli has been a very solid player this season, that's really not the person who you'd ideally choose to say, "Oh, I'm so glad he's captaining Juventus." You know what I mean? That's
Correct.
where Juve is at right now. You know what I mean? They had captains like Del Piero in the past and Buffon, and now you're captaining Locatelli. And I'm not saying he's a bad player. I actually think he's quite good, but that's not a captain. He's a
No,
good soldier, but he's not a captain.
exactly. He's a solid guy on like a real true like world class team. I would love to have him as a bench option to come on late lockdown games, rotate in through matches throughout the season. But on an out and out starter, he just he's good enough right now because our team's so bad because Jim Fleece did such a horrible job building the team. But going forward, I mean, I'd like to see him eventually get kind of phased out a little bit
Yeah, I mean,
or in a
I don't
different
want to
role
rag on him
entirely.
either because I think he's actually been he's
No,
been
no, he had a good
quite good.
season. He's had a
Yeah,
good.
yeah. But it was such a dumb move, and I mean that gave Milan everything because even though they were putting on
Well,
pressure, they weren't getting good chances. Like the Teo chance was a good chance, but besides that one chance, Milan wasn't really creating anything. They were causing pressure. They were causing some nerves from Juve, but they weren't doing much. That was a gift, and after that, you knew the wheels were going to come off.
Well, yeah, this is where the impact of Conceição does come in because you got a Milan team that's all season has been completely unmotivated, lazy prima donna bitch boys. And you just know that once Conceição goes in, those lazy prima donna bitch boys are going to become the class players that they actually are because now they got a coach in there that's breaking TVs and throwing fits and he's demanding now. So when Milan's putting all this pressure on Juve's starting to crumble because of a lack of class where now all of a sudden Milan is kind of like rediscovering their class.
Yeah, no,
Guys
it's
like,
they're going to get a
Pulisic.
significant boost right now. I mean,
Yeah,
Pulisic has been good regardless of who's been coached, though. That's been pretty impressive. Like he doesn't really throw temper tantrums like Hernandez and Leao do. He just plays. So
right.
he's been good for Fonseca. He's been good for Pioli. He's been good for Conciecao so far. I mean, he's just a good player. He gives you the same performance every game, which is pretty awesome. That's very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. Second goal, very unlucky for Juve. I
Oof.
think that Di
That's
Gregorio.
unlucky.
I do think it's
I
unlucky.
don't
I
think
mean,
that's unlucky at all.
that's a heck of. I mean, you make your
The
own
hell's Di
luck.
Gregorio doing?
You're right, but you make your own luck.
What the
But
hell is he doing?
Gatti, like he gets blamed for this, right? It's not
Oh
Gatti's
yeah,
fault,
yeah. Well,
man. I mean, come
more
on.
idiots blame Gatti.
Yeah,
Gatti is like making up for two defenders that aren't there.
that's exactly right. Gatti is covering a left or right wing position for Milan, which is like a left back position because his guys are not there at
Yeah.
all. And
Look where
then
Kalulu is. Do you see where he
he's
is?
not even in the frame.
He's
Lulu's
all
not
the
even
way
in the
up the
frame.
sideline.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
And Di Gregorio is way out of position, which I don't even know who he was covering or where he was going. I get he was trying to step up to block a cross, but that's terrible
That's
positioning.
exactly
So
what Gatti. So that's what Gatti was covering. Gatti's covering. Like this is the excuse for like people are actually trying to make excuses for Di Gregorio.
yeah,
Like,
it's
oh,
just because
he's
they like him better than Gatti.
exactly. Everyone hates Gatti because Gatti had an own goal last year, and that was like, oh my God, we'll never forgive him for
I
that.
know. Yeah.
So even though he's been awesome this year, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, unlucky for Gatti to have it go off his leg. But honestly, I mean, Di Gregorio's in a terrible spot. He did a
Yep.
terrible job on the penalty, which
He
is
did an
right at him.
awful
I
job on the
mean,
penalty. Yeah,
yeah,
I wrote in my group chat. I was like, you can thank Di Gregorio for this game because he. I mean, of course, yes, you make your own luck, but he had a stinker
yeah, he
when it
did.
mattered.
He shat the bed. Yeah,
Yep.
yep. He was terrible today, or well, that day. Yeah, but I mean, you do make your own luck,
Yep.
and this is
Milan
what.
pushed. They fought.
Yes, this is called Grinta. This is Grinta isn't a grimace. It's not
Exactly
a
right.
bad mood.
No,
Grinta
it's
is
effort and it's character
working
and it's heart.
harder than. Yes, exactly. Getting to the ball first. Getting to the loose ball.
Yep.
That how many loose balls did Milan get to in the last 15 minutes?
Almost every ball. And you see like the last
Exactly.
minute block from Gabbia. It was a great sub from
Yep.
Conciecao to bring Gabbia on. He made a very acrobatic kind of deflection. A little leg block is great. And Gatti
Gabbia, who
almost made
was
up for his
had
error.
the flu as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gabbia had the flu as well, so
Oh, it's
came
just a
on and
good
yeah,
good sub, man. So that
awesome, man.
definitely is a Conciecao effect. I want to say one more thing about the game because it's something that I've noticed, and I think it's actually one of Mota's flaws. I think sometimes he makes subs to make subs. I don't actually think
Yeah,
that he does the right subs because Cambiaso, who I think is actually one of the best young prospects at wing back specifically, but he can play side back too, of course. This is 2 games in a row where we've seen Mota sub him on late. And I mean, yeah, he slipped in the one. That's not really his fault. I mean, okay, he slipped, but he
yeah.
didn't look good. Why would you bring on a guy coming back from injury to lock down a game? That doesn't. That's the type of thing you bring on when you know the game is assured and you're trying to get minutes in his legs. But when you need to win a game, you're trying to lock down a game and you're up by only 1 goal. You don't put a player who's coming back from injury in a crucial position because he was a stinker in both games coming back from that. He was also not in the picture. Same with Kalulu, so that's why Gatti had to come across. That's Mota's fault for not seeing that and putting on a cold player coming back from injury in an intense moment. And he's putting him up against the right wing of Milan, which you have Milan's best player, Pulisic, there. That's bad coaching, in my opinion. And I think Mota's been actually like, decent with this weird team this year. Actually, been good, I think. But that's not a good move. At least I don't think
I
it was a good
totally,
move.
I totally agree with you. Here's a couple problems to consider. So one, um, his option for replacing McKennie at left back was Danilo. Well, they just told Danilo to go stuff it. So their defensive option to bring on to give McKennie whatever kind of break they felt he needed, because McKennie isn't amazing at defensive left back role. He's great at covering the ground. He's just a fucking gamer. He's a baller. The guy will get it done. But to lock a game down like needed to be done, Cambiaso surely isn't that option.
Yeah,
Cambiaso is
he's
not
more
very good
attacking.
defensively.
Right.
Yeah,
I
Cambiaso is
would have
not a
just
good
kept the
defender.
guy on. Like, yes,
Yeah.
McKenny might be getting tired. Who cares? Like, he'll pull a shift all game. Like, just don't change what's not broken. You're up in the game. Why would you change it? I don't know. It made
Well,
no sense to me.
this is why you don't get rid of guys like Danilo, or you at least need to have an option for him like now, because you can't close out games like that. Like, look at the things that Conciecao did. He brought an extra defender on at the end of the game, change of formation, bring on a third center back to help lock the game down.
Yep,
Mota has never done
he
that.
brought
Mota's
on
like
attackers when he was down. He brought on a defender when he was up.
shocking. Isn't that amazing? It's like Mota never changes the formation. Formation, formation. That's what we're running. And it's like, well, this is a like for like change. It's like, well,
Yeah,
it's
Conciecao, he went
whatever
with a
they
three
bump.
man back line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we're trying to lock the game down. We're just trying to win. You
Yeah,
guys know where to stand. You think you'll be okay? You've been playing this game for how many years now? Think you can figure it
and
out?
you hit it on the head
It's
there.
not that
And
fucking complicated.
exactly, a lot of people are like, well, they didn't train in a 3 man. I don't know how they can do it. It's like, guys, I would know how to play in a different formation, right? I've been watching the game long enough to play. I play, but like these guys are pros. This is all they do. This is their life. You should know at least within reason what to do, where to be, how to position yourself in a 3 man backline formation without even question. And I love that Concieição thinks the same way because he didn't care. He's like, nope, this is my first game with you guys, and I'm actually gonna change your formation with like 20 minutes left. I don't care. It's
Yeah,
great.
play some fucking
Like,
defense.
yeah, this is how we're
Lock
gonna
this
do it,
shit up.
guys. For like 15 minutes left.
Yeah,
He didn't care. He went with 3 man back line right at the end, in the middle of a game, change of formation. Guess how much he cared? Not at all, because it's more about how you play rather than like what specific tactic you have. He's like, nope, this will probably work best for us right now. Figure it out, guys. You're gonna be okay.
yeah.
Easy.
It's tactics are very important, but they're also incredibly overrated. And I think it's
They're
something that
definitely both.
people can nerd out on and act like they know more than they really do about it. But in circumstances like this Copa match,
Yeah, tactics
you
did
see
not win Milan that game, dude. It was with heart and grinta.
no, I'll grant to, I'll grant to. But they did technically more complicated things by switching the formation around
Right.
multiple times just to achieve the goals they needed to achieve. Whereas Juventus stayed stagnant and made like for like changes, and it didn't work out so well for them.
No, it
So,
didn't.
but I think there's a bigger issue there. I don't think that maybe McKennie was like because he didn't take McKennie off. They took Bangula off and moved McKennie up. But like
They still
Why wouldn't you
change
just
it. It
bring
makes no
Danilo
sense.
on? Danilo has been great at side back this year.
Or
He's been a disaster in the middle.
Or just bring on
We don't
Cambiaso
have a center.
for no brand Cambiaso for Mbangula. Cambiaso can play up top. He'll just be a more defensive version
Yeah,
of a
he's.
winger,
I actually prefer him up there. Yeah, I
right?
actually prefer him up
Why
there.
not,
Yes.
right? Why would you bring on somebody who's cold into a
Yeah.
crucial position who is not up to game speed? He's going to be struggling because he's got to go from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds when Milan is on fire. They're pushing hard, and you're going to come in straight off the bench from injury and lock it down?
Hmm.
I don't think so.
No. Well, he didn't. You got
Right.
that's twice in a row now.
Yeah,
But
it's
in
not a locked
general,
down
it's like
guy.
just it's okay to mix your formation up and bring on more defensive players. It really is. It, it's not going to blow
Yeah,
anyone's
Juve do have
mind.
a very
So
bad depth
I
issue,
like
that's for sure, and they just made it
that's the
worse by
problem.
axing Danilo.
Yeah, I mean, it was like that would be the guaranteed sub I would make there, Danilo for McKennie or Danilo from Bangula and move McKennie up, and
Yeah.
now you got you more lockdown on your outside, which is what we needed, because Pulisic was
Mm-hmm.
a problem. But yeah, no, it's I'm super jealous of I like a coach. Obviously my favorite coach is Conte. Conceição has a lot of those same vibes, baby. So
Mm-hmm.
super jealous of what Milan's got going right now with Conceição.
Yeah, they're going
And
to
I
get
was
an
so
immediate
pumped.
boost for at least a month or two for sure.
Yeah, we'll see how he does as it goes on. We'll see how he does too with these players when they do play, like Fonseca said, Cagliari, teams like that,
That's what
because
I'm wondering.
yeah, because the prima donna players are still the prima donna players. It's not that difficult to get up for a Copa match against Juve or Inter, but yeah,
Yeah, no,
you
that's
know,
exactly what
the,
I was saying to my like friend group, and we did a stream a little while ago. For it's like, you know what, it's it's easy to get up for a cup against Juve and Inter, your two biggest rivals in the league, right? It's not easy to go play Cagliari at their stadium early in the morning or something like that, or like midday when it's not something very inspiring. The stands are maybe
yeah,
not full, and you just don't care. That's hard.
right. That's where guys like that will really suffer. But that's a matter also of filling out the roster with guys who can play those matches and people who are trying to earn their
Yes.
spots on the team. Like those are perfect opportunities for good young players to put their
It's
flag in the
also
sand. But
coaching. It's also coaching to like
yeah,
to motivate your team to say, hey, listen, I don't really care if this is Cagliari or whoever. Like, if you don't play hard here, you're getting benched. And
yeah,
for them to just know that straight up that he's not gonna just take any BS is good. So
yeah, definitely.
let's move on to Inter
All
and
right.
Milan.
Yes.
Um, game was really slow in the first portion of it. Inter had the better chances in the first half. Seemed like both teams are kind of on like autopilot, but it was a pretty close
Hmm.
game. Inter had the more dangerous chances. First goal definitely broke with he started with DiMarco. He beat Emerson Royale, as is pretty customary for Milan these days. He's an awful player. And then Teo was still coming back, so he was late, so he was out of position. And then Tiao had a terrible read on Lautaro. He overcommitted and overstepped huge. And
Yeah,
then
it was
Teo
bad.
did the same thing. Like, it's funny, you watch both players do the same thing. They both got thrown off by Lautaro's cutback. And it was a nice cutback, but like overcommitting is
It looked
very amateur.
Yes. It looked like an amazing cutback, but yeah, that is absolutely amateur hour for the Milan defenders there.
Yeah, it's like FIFA defending where like you just ran too fast and you overcommitted hardcore. Like
Yeah.
it's not what you should be doing, especially when you have a partner with you, like a buddy with you. One of the defenders should absolutely not overcommit because then you're just guaranteed to make a mistake. And that's what happened there. But Lautaro did a great job. I got to give him credit. So goal one, you get that. Inter had a couple big chances with Taremi, and then
Yeah.
well, obviously he scored right early in the second half. Do you see that goal?
I think I forget it now.
It was
Fresh my
basically just
memory.
a nice, like, pretty straight pass. I forget who made it. Let me look back. I think it was actually like the defender, maybe like DeVry or something like that. It was definitely the defender who made the pass. And it just went straight through Tamoria and Tiao. Awful marking, very sloppy, very slow. Pretty typical. Those two defenders from Milan are very error prone. So and a great shot, great finish from Taremi, who's only scored I think 2 goals this season. That was his second. Milan was not looking
Yeah, that
good.
was the second goal.
Yep, and then Milan got back in the game with a player who's been kind of beaten up in the media recently for Milan, Theo Hernandez. But he scores a great free
Yeah.
kick goal, and he definitely was a massive spark, and he played a huge role in the whole game. So it's the same people from Milan over and over. You're going to get Pulisic, you're going to get Teo, Leao, and Reinders. Those are your guys who are gonna get you
Well,
back in the game.
the sub of Leao, immediate impact,
Yep.
and it definitely changed the game.
Oh, big time, big time. Yeah, he was
That was,
he came out with motivation, and you get to see how good he actually
yeah,
is when he cares.
yeah.
It's just,
He's
can you motivate him?
amazing. Yeah. Well, you don't have to. If he definitely seems to show up for the big games. It just gets someone else to play the little games. That's fine. You know what you're getting with him.
Yep.
You're not gonna change. You're not gonna change him. Like that's just
Yeah,
how he is. He's more
and he's an
interested
awful
in
shot,
fashion and
but he
yeah.
doesn't need to. He can just dish it off. I mean, and he was just blowing by guys, man. He honestly looked fantastic.
Dude, he's amazing. He's
Yeah,
amazing.
he
He's
looked
he's
fantastic.
freaking amazing. What were we saying? But before we jumped on, we were saying I was talking about how like the Juventus fans are complaining about Motta, his attacking strategies. How he doesn't know we don't know what to do in the final third. And I'm just like, do you think that Conciecao had an elaborate offensive strategy for that? Do you think he sculpted the run of Leao and the
No, dude,
pass
Leal's
of
been doing the
Pulisic?
same thing for several seasons. He
Yeah.
blows by somebody.
It's
He
called
typically tries to
class.
cut it back and cross it to the middle every time. It's not some revolutionary tactic.
No, it's just a beautiful run. It's instinctual, and that's what great players do. I mean, when you have great players, that's what they do. We
Yeah,
don't have them. That's why our guys don't do that. But that was really the difference in the game. I mean, like when Inter started to get when Milan started to get motivated, and Inter started kind of like deflating. You just saw the class just the class just rise. Teo,
yeah.
Leao,
No,
Pulisic,
and I mean,
boom.
Inter just kind of started to melt a little bit too, which is unique because I
Yeah,
would expect them to be a little better in like a 2-1 situation, but you know what? They just couldn't hack it. I think we were talking before this about what happened when they had to bring off Çalhanoğlu. Aslani cannot do the same job. He can't cover as well. He can't calm the game down as much. He's just kind of there. He's a decent player, but that guy's not it. He's fine, but he's not somebody who you can bring on and expect the same level. He's a drastic downgrade from Çalhanoğlu, drastic, and that's in a very crucial position in Inter's team.
I think in general, Inter has a depth issue. I know you don't think so, but besides defense, their center backs, which I think are very solid, they're about five deep. Their wing backs are pretty good. They're pretty solid there. Their center mids,
Their center
Fratesi
mids have a
has
problem.
not been good. Zelinski's been okay.
Yeah.
They don't have
Honestly,
anybody
he
besides
hasn't
Zelinski.
really been that good either. Like Zelensky and
No,
Fratesi have not been giving the performances you expect them to give, and Aslani is not good enough. Yeah.
they
Honestly, you
barely
might be
play.
right in the midfield. They don't have good midfield depth.
Well, and they're strikers. I mean, how many goals has Tremi had this year?
This is his second goal,
Who's their
and
other guys that
then
they
they
got?
have who's that guy? I can't come up with the guy's
Right,
name, but he's like the
exactly.
taller dude. I can't remember his name. He's been around for a
Arnaut, they got
while.
Arnaut,
Arnautovic,
they got
that's it.
Arnautovic,
Yep, Marco Arnautovic.
right? And they
That's
and
the
they
other
got
guy.
the guy that the our Argentinian kid from he's on a
Correa.
kidney more, but he
Yeah,
Correa.
Correa. Yeah.
That's not they don't have depth. So, I think Beppe Marotta is the best in the business, but there are definitely chinks in the armor and Inter, and they need to figure out some depth if they're gonna plan on fighting a war on two fronts this
Especially
year.
in mid. I mean, when you list off the attack like that, it's not actually that bad, right? I mean, you have Thuram, you have Altaro. Correa has shown good signs, but he just hasn't been the same for Inter as he was for Lazio. And then Taremi can be a classy striker, and Arnautovic can play a role. It's not bad at all. But midfield, yeah, their depth is pretty poor.
Yeah.
I mean,
They lose a lot when they start going to the bench,
when you lose
especially.
Barella and you lose Çalhanoğlu,
Yeah.
you just don't have the guys. Fratesi is not Barella, and Aslani is not Çalhanoğlu. They're not even close,
Yeah,
actually. So
it's great having those super world class dudes, but I think the guys you bring off the bench, like Aslani, does not need to be an attack minded regista. He just needs to be a lockdown defensive mid. That's the sub you need for Çalhanoğlu. You need a guy that can actually lock down the midfield and put a shield in front of your defense. And Zielinski, that's the other suggestion playing there. He doesn't do that. So
No,
that's not
that's
your
not
next
his
best
role.
option.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Barella, I
just
mean,
not well crafted for their backups in midfield. That's for sure.
yeah, I think Marotta, we spent a lot of time praising him, but I think it's hard to give him shit once in a while, especially when this is an Italian team's best shot at probably putting a serious run at a Champions League this year, and this could be a potential problem
Yeah,
if they
you
don't
never
rectify it here in
know
January.
with Milan in a tournament setting, with Conciecao in a tournament setting. They could surprise some people in Champions League. Conciecao is good
They
in
have the
tournaments.
skill.
They have top class players. They just need to, and I mean, and the team is going to get some serious motivation. You never know; they could make a deeper run than expected this year alone, with the coaching change. I mean, if you get Teo and you get Leao, Pulisic, and Rangers firing on all cylinders, you're going to be fighting against anybody.
And you still got Magnan in net,
Yes,
and
you got Magnan,
wh- when Gabi
Gabia.
is healthy,
Yeah,
your defense gets 10 times better. Tamori is a poor defender. Tiao is okay when he's with Gabia. They're very good together. So the Tiao Gabia
yeah.
thing works
I
pretty good, I
even
think.
think that Tamori Gabia works well, and it might even be a better compliment because Tamori is very quick on the ground. His marking as far as that goes is great, but he's not great at aerial reading and aerial marking, and Gabia covers that up. So I actually think they'd be a great
Mhm.
pairing. Tamori was good for a few seasons, very good, and he was our best defender for a while. So we'll see what happens.
Regardless,
Yeah,
you need Gabia out there with one of those other guys. It's not like
I think
it's
he
kind of
will
X
once
without.
he's recovered from whatever he was battling. I think he's gonna slowly get that spot back because Milan's defense did
Yeah.
not look good in both games, both against Inter and Juve. So that wasn't like a highlight of theirs. They just looked better as a team, more fight. Inter almost pulled the game out of reach. They were up 2-1 against Milan, and Augusto had a header, and
Yeah,
it was like maybe 3 inches from crossing the line fully. So
I know
that
that
was
game.
almost the game entirely. But
Yeah,
fortune favors the bold, right? And Milan walked out of
that's
that one
right. Magnan got it.
unscathed. Yep. The second goal to tie, I thought was Milan's best goal. Um, Leao threw ball to Teo once again, so Teo's involved. He just crosses it, but the run from Pulisic is so smart. Like he reads the game better than like four people there. I mean, like
Oh
you
yeah.
got you gotta love a guy who's smart and he's still battling and fighting. That ball was not to him. It's just a random ball in the middle. Morata is he's just coasting. Like I don't even. He's the striker and he's outside the box. Pulisic is the one who makes the run, cuts across his marker plus the center back, and then fires it low post with a ton of composure. So I mean
Yep.
that's pretty dang good.
I mean, that was the super clutch goal to tie it. I mean,
Yep,
that's
80th minute. It's
yeah, yeah,
massive.
80th minute. Yeah, mega clutch, dude.
And then the last goal was a pretty special pass from
Yeah, it's a
Pulisic
beautiful
as
pass,
well.
dude.
So that's
Beautiful run, beautiful pass. Even the pass from Leao was beautiful too. I mean, just
mm-hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean there were other
That's just
chances for
class,
Inter
guys.
too. Fortezzi missed a chance to score. Dumfries missed a chance to score. But I mean, said fortune favors the bold. And then Pulisic great
When it goes that
pass.
way, man.
You see that how Leao passed it to who's it Abraham?
Yeah, a little spike.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
I was actually seeing like smart play from Leao. Usually he just such a good talent. That's all you get. But he actually played smart, made a great run, a smart run, and then he decides to actually bounce it on the ground to get it over the defender's leg. Pretty great.
They're stepping up, baby. It's all about class, and
Grinta.
sometimes it's yeah,
That's
yeah.
in
When
Grinta.
when you're yeah, when you got the right guy in or you're motivated, and it's so weird. Like in when we grew up watching these older players, you saw them at their best almost every week without exception. They just cared so much. These new players just don't give a shit, you know. And when it's just night and day difference when they decide to actually show up and grow a pair. And it's like, oh, there he is. That's why this guy's so good. That's
Yep.
why we love him here. And then they go back and they put on fur coats and take
Yeah, it's
selfies
definitely
and
more about like a
you
Instagram,
know
social media culture these days. So you're
yeah.
gonna see that. It's just kind of par for the course these days. So it's nice to see a
Yeah, I
game
think you
like
just gotta
this
deal with
where you
it.
don't see much of it and you just actually see the guys play. You know,
Yeah.
is nice to see. So
I love seeing a beautiful pass like the run and the pass from Pulisic to Leao. That was that's just a thing of beauty. I love it.
yeah. So Milan walks away with the win. Massive, massive success for Conciecao to come in just a few days and kind of have that. It
Mhm.
was ugly, early on, but they figured out in
I
both
get ugly.
games. That's a really good sign, and you can immediately tell the
Mhm.
players are already behind them. Players like Teo, who's just kind of pissy for most of the season, is now like very motivated, fired up. He's happy. Conciecao was seen a lot with like his arm around him. He knows his guys. He seems like he's like a Conte style guy. He's gonna pick his guys and he's gonna make sure those guys know that he's got them. So it's pretty cool. I don't love the fact that Milan doesn't have any Italians on their team. Basically, that's how I do like to see them with that. But I love the signing of the coach. He was one of my top three to bring into the start of the season, and at least Redbird, I'll give them their only flowers that for me they deserve right now, and that is rectifying their mistake of coach and bringing in an actual class coach. So that was good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Um,
they got it right.
you want to go into the week review here of Serie A, and then we'll kind
Yeah.
of
Let's
wrap
do
up
the
with that.
week. Yeah. I think people have seen enough of the damn Supercoppa reviews by now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was our duty to do it. And then, yeah, I'd like to dig into the week because there wasn't a lot going on because of the abridged schedule due to the Supercopa.
Yeah,
But
pretty uneventful besides a few games. So I'm gonna gloss over
there were,
the uneventful games, and then we'll discuss the
yeah,
two bigger games. All right, so you
yeah,
had Venezia Empoli 1-1, Poyampalo and Sebastiano Esposito, he's got a fair amount of goals now, right? Esposito.
dude, he's a good player.
Actually, you know what?
If he was,
I saw this game because
if he
it's
had a
just been a long
different
time
flag
ago.
next to his name, he would be much more popular right now.
Most likely, I think I saw this game because it's just been a little while. So pardon me, guys, but I'm pretty sure that I was impressed by Colombo on that goal. I got to go back and watch. I got the highlights up. I think Colombo did a ton of work, and this pass afterwards was class. Let me see if this is the goal. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm watching right now.
Yeah, Colombo and Esposito have a nice little combo going on. Colombo was good last year
Yeah,
too with Monza, by
Colombo
the way.
cut back, and then he nutmegs a player with the through ball to Esposito. It was awesome. Yeah, at some point you should watch that after the
Yeah,
cast. It's great. So
yeah. I watched the game live. I just forget it now.
yeah, that's I had to remind that, but I remember making a mental note of that when I was watching it. So 1-1 Empoli and Venezia, Verona Udinese 0-0. Cagliari Monza. Monza just cannot buy a win. 2-1 Cagliari, so Monza's definitely getting relegated. Genoa Lecce 0-0, another tie. And then Torino Parma, another tie 0-0. So let's talk about the two games that were the bigger games, anyways. Napoli Fiorentina. Napoli walks out 3-0. I know we both saw this game. Um, you've been a
Beautiful.
big Napoli fan for a bit here. I think if
Yeah,
Juve wasn't your team, Napoli would be your second team, right?
yeah,
Or maybe
definitely.
this year might be kind of pulling for them
Well,
right
this
now.
year they're probably
Yeah, they got your
yeah, because
coach. He's
of all
bringing the young
the yeah,
Italians. Yeah, man, it's cool.
yeah.
Take it
He's led the
away.
entire transfer market. Well, so the this to me was a dangerous trap game because Fiorentina's been struggling lately, but they had a kind of epic comeback against Juventus, in the final minutes. So they're taking that motivation from that game. We're technically overachieve against a team like Juventus, even though they're below them on the table these days. They're still regarded as one of the bigger clubs. So I'm like, okay, this could be a potential trap game for Napoli coming in here. Um, Buongiorno's out. Moise Kean is a powerful, fast striker that's in form, and he's going to be going against Jesus. And I'm like, that is a red flag, stranger danger right there. It didn't end up like that at all. I mean, Conte is just such a good coach. They dominated the whole game. Um, Neres was absolutely freaking awesome. And he does the smartest thing. So he brings Spinazzola on as a left winger. He starts Spinazzola on the left as a winger, not as a side back, not as a wing back. And at the beginning of the game, that whole side was working better. It was just locking down Dodo, and Kopani couldn't do anything over there. And he's got Neres on the right, who Neres has been all season better on the left. Whatever combo he figured out, whatever he thought up when he was doing his magical Conti stuff, it worked to absolute perfection. And that the first goal by Neres, what I want to say about that is this is what happens when you play the game. Neres had about 4 opportunities to fall on the ground, scream and cry and bitch and try to get a penalty. Benares stayed on his feet like a man and put the fucking ball in the net.
Yeah. I
So
think he totally
all these little
bodied
bitch
Parisi, who
boys.
I gave a lot of compliments last week, but yeah, he just bodied him to chuck him over. It was great.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'd
yeah,
love
I
to
mean,
see it.
this is the difference between Conceição and Neres, though. Neres is a 27-year-old full-grown man who is a very direct player, and Conceição dribbles in circles. So Conceição has a lot to learn, but Conceição is also 5'3". So bodying out a guy 5'3" is a lot different than bodying out Neres, who's a 27-year-old very direct
Yeah.
player. But
Parisi's gonna have an easier time playing against a guy like Conciecao, but yeah, Neres
yeah,
is different for sure.
and Parise didn't do a bad job this game, but like
No. It's
he
just
just
on that one was.
an incredible individual effort, and like the little link up with Lukaku and everything all game
Mm-hmm.
was excellent. Dude, Conti teams always find form February and on. Maybe it's catching on a little bit earlier. I did not expect a 3-0 pummeling.
No,
You
yeah,
know,
I thought it would have
the
been closer than that as well.
yeah. I mean, and Camuzzo, he did bounce back after what was a rough performance against Juventus. I don't think he's responsible for any of the
Yeah,
goals here.
that was one thing I want to say about the match is that yes, I thought Napoli played great, very controlled, composed. They looked like a team who has a lot in the tank here. That was an impressive win, but I liked Camuzzo's performance. He had a rough game last week. The one deflection off him, it's not really his fault. It is what it is.
No,
What can you
yeah.
do? But no, I thought he played very well. He didn't really let Lukaku have too much say in the game. And he's quite physical for a young kid. I mean, he's only like 19,
Oh yeah.
and he's physically keeping up with Lukaku. I think this is a guy you should probably strike on for like a bigger team because he's not going to be super expensive right now, and he's got a lot of potential.
Oh, big time. He's great in the air. He loves to battle, and he's athletic. He's not uncoordinated and gumpy. A lot of these modern defenders now, it's like they're just gigantic gumps. It's like this guy's good. He's got a good
He's
build on him.
big,
He's
but
athletic.
he's decently athletic.
Yeah,
He's not like lumbering around. He can be pretty
yeah,
combative. I mean, honestly, maybe that's a guy Milan should be looking at. You play him together with Gabbia. One guy's more controlled, one guy's a little more aggressive, but he's not overly. It's not a bad option, and Milan needs one more center back. Not a bad
yeah.
choice.
I mean, I would
Or
love to
take him
see.
anyway,
I think
right?
Milan and yeah, well, Milan and
Yeah,
Juventus need to
we
get
know
their act
Juve
together
needs
with good
depth.
good,
That's for
good
sure.
Italian.
And Juve needs
Yeah,
defensive
but
depth for sure.
we usually will buy zero Italians, so it doesn't matter. I mean, we have numerous opportunities to do so. He's simply not interested in it. But Camuzzo's a
Right.
good young player
Yep.
for a team that's ready to make a step up. I think Napoli is catching form at the right time. They have a tough. If Napoli gets through January, and I think their schedule leaks into a little bit of February, um,
Yeah,
they're
their next
like
month
their
is pretty
last.
difficult, but if they get through it, they're
Yeah,
looking like the hot favorites.
yeah. So I mean, if they can get through this, I mean, and Buongiorno's already back in training, which he wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, I
So
hope they don't
that's a
bring him
good sign
back too
already.
early because I would hate for him to get injured again but I
I
mean
agree.
I think Conte's smart enough. His teams never really have too big an injury crisis.
No, exactly. But Fiorentina, they need to figure their central midfield out big time. They when they lost Bove,
Yeah,
they lost more than even I thought because I really love Bove. I thought he was having an amazing season. I wanted him called up to the national team. I'm like, this guy tackles everything. He's all over the field. He's doing a great job for them. As soon as they lost him, they have gone on a slide, and some
yeah.
of it
They don't
is
have
him, but
two
it's
complementary pieces. They just don't, right? I mean, they have what
no,
Cataldi, Adli, and they have Madragora. And I mean, I think all individually they're all fine players, but they don't have like a true winner. They don't have a ball winner there. None of them are
no,
ball winners. Like Cataldi's
no.
position
I
is
think
sound, but he's not a ball winner.
Yeah, I think Mandragora is your best option for ball winner, and he's
He's
not.
not great
That's not
at
his
it.
primary function. Yeah, I mean, they have Amrabat on loan,
Yeah,
loaned
we were
out
talking about
somewhere.
that. I think
A
that's
player
actually a
like him,
decent option if they can bring him back because he
yeah,
actually is a teammate who can tackle.
yeah, they need to figure this out and fast because they're in a good spot in the table. They've gotten through a lot of their tough games, which means they are going to have a couple. They have a couple of weeks in a row, matches in a row, where they can really kind of get back on track. And so, yeah, I'd like to see them kind of sort this out because yeah, you're not going to go through Serie A with two holding midfielders that can't tackle. You need to have somebody that can actually win a ball.
Yeah, they're struggling, but I mean they've had a very tough run. They've only played good teams recently, so
Yeah.
it hasn't been the easiest run, of course. But I do want to see them rebound. We'll see what
definitely.
happens coming up soon. This will be a very good test of how good Palladino is, as far as like can he kind of weather the storm and get them back on track.
Yeah.
They did come back against Juve, which was good. At least some fight there. Definitely got smoked by Napoli, but now they've got some games that they really should win. The only one coming up soon-ish that will be pretty much a team on level pegging as them will be Lazio. That's on the 26th of January. But the other games there that they have coming up, they should take down. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Like they got Monza up. They've got I think somebody else who's kind of weaker as well. They got Torino and Monza. They should clean up both those games. So it'd be good to get them back on track. So those 2 games in a row they should win.
Yeah, they definitely need to clean those games up. But a
Um,
lot of people have a tough January, so we'll see where everyone stands in early February. But yeah, I think if there's one team right now that actually really needs something desperately, I think
Lazio does
Fiorentina
too.
does need a
Lazio
central.
needs it too.
Yeah.
There's 2 teams. They're sliding right now, and they got to catch something, or they're
Who
gonna
does
fall a little
Lazio
farther.
sign to make to because I can see Fiorentina as being very personnel driven, but
Yeah,
Lazio's I
Fiorentina
don't
can
think
make
is
some
as
changes
much.
and come right back for sure. Lazio's will
Yeah,
be
well
different.
let's dig into Lazio Roma.
Yeah,
The
let's go to the
derby.
game right now. I don't know. What did you think of the game? I honestly thought that Roma just straight up looked better than them, like for most of the game.
I thought it was the Paulo Dybala sex show.
See
I mean, it was
here.
simple as that. The guy was the best player on the field.
He's awesome, man. Honestly, and when he's been healthy for weeks in a row, you get to see how good this guy actually is, right? When he doesn't have any injuries, he's playing game after game. I mean, he looks like his typical Dybala self. He's not like coming back from an injury for one game. He actually has been looking fantastic. I mean, man, he makes that team tick. If you take him out of the lineup, I don't think Roma's going to win this game. I actually thought that
Oh no, not
Lazio would
even.
probably
Yeah.
tie if not win this game, but Roma is on a little bit of a run right now, and they've got the momentum.
It's it was literally the Dybala show, man. I mean, he got like he got 5 people yellow carded. I mean, Ravella's been having an amazing season. Ravella tackles everything and everybody. Ravella couldn't touch fucking Dybala. Dybala just make a little turn and he just run right past him. It's you know
Yeah, I mean, Roma
he's
didn't even
so
have to play some like possession game. Like Roma just looked
yeah.
more dangerous when they had the ball. I think let me look at the stats, but I think they had similar shots, but I think they had way less possession. Let me actually click on the game here.
It
So
made a massive difference
actually,
having a
they didn't
guy
have similar
like
shots.
that on
Roma
the
got
field.
smoked on shots, but shots on target was 6-5, so it's roughly the same. So the ones that mattered were the same. Lazio had more shots, and Lazio had 68 possession to 32. So it didn't, yeah, as I was saying, it didn't really matter for possession. They just looked more dangerous when they had it.
No, Roma just sat back and were happy to counterattack. I mean, they're this it's not to completely lay it on extra thick, but I mean this was literally just the Dybala show. He was so freaking good again, and all roads led through him. I mean, Pellegrini's goal was awesome, class, great finish. Salamaker's good gritty goal. I mean, it's all coming off of buildups from Dybala
Yeah.
from midfield. Like he's how he's coming back so deep to make these counters happen. It's amazing, man.
Yeah, no, I mean Pellegrini's
Yeah,
goal was good. That's kind of what he's good for. He'll show up here and there throughout the season and come up with a couple of very class goals.
mhm.
That's kind of the Pellegrini way. I think he can definitely be useful for the side. He's definitely not the player everybody thought he was going to be when he was having a couple of hot seasons, but he definitely has a role to play. I thought the Salamakers was great again. He just works super hard, and he's definitely been he's growing. Like you can see the kid getting better and better. He's starting to kind of put more goals in and have more goal contributions. Once again, the play started from Dybala though.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Salamaker's
cool to
is an
see
awesome,
Roma step
awesome
up.
player.
I think their
Good.
spot on the table is so much lower than the quality of their team, Roma.
Well, yeah, they had. This is why you don't fire coaches mid-season, right? It was a mid-season firing of Jose Mourinho. They brought in De Rossi. De Rossi was a bad coach, guys. Just because you liked him doesn't mean he's a good coach. And that really screwed everything up because then they got it totally wrong with Juric. And now look what happens when you get the right guy in. Look what happens when you got
Yeah,
Ranieri.
just steadies the ship.
They're totally different team.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, did you
it's
see that the second half? Like they were just playing super defensive, which is, I mean,
yeah,
which is what you
just
had to do.
locking it
They were up
down.
2-0, and I mean, like Lazio had some opportunities, but nothing like broken. Um, Any
Ranieri's an
chance
old
they gave
school
him was
coach.
difficult.
He's not going to say, we want to try to get the third to make it even more secure. That's what dumb, bad coaches say. Okay. Ranieri's just like, no, we're up to nothing. Just lock this shit down. Let's go home. And you know how hard that shit is. I mean, it's hard. It's hard doing against Lecce, trying to put a ball in the net. It's like, well, now you got to deal with Roma. Stacking 10 guys in the box. And it's not gonna work out for you very well. But Lazio, I think what they do lack, and we've seen them a couple times this year. They come out of the gates, boom, boom, swinging, swinging, swinging. Then it's kind of like whoop, the wet bar soap slips right through. You're
Yeah,
letting it
this one
go, and
was
they
a
get all
little different
pissed.
though, because Roma came out and I think they had their first two goals in the first like 20 or 30 minutes or something like that, and then Lazio looked a little better later on in the game for this time, but Roma was just in
There were little
lockdown mode.
counterattacks though from
Yeah.
Roma. There were little counterattacks from
Yes.
Roma that got them, caught them with their pants down, and that's a little lack of discipline on Lazio that I've seen throughout the year.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah, we're seeing their chinks in the armor too. I mean, the Lazio and Fiorentina are starting to show some cracks, which I think is something we
yeah,
said maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I was like, the teams I think are just going to start showing some signs of weakness are those two teams. That's
yeah, you did.
Fiorentina and Lazio. I would love for them to stay up because I really like how their teams are built. I think that's great for Serie A, and with our kind of whole mission with Primo Calcio, I enjoy those teams. I want to see them do well, but I just was fearing the wheels were going to fall off at some point.
Well, I think Lazio has had some personnel changes recently. Um, you know, I don't know where Pedro is. I'm assuming he's injured. He was very missed in that game.
They've
Pedro,
got
talk about
Tavares back. He looked good in this game finally, like because he was a bit sluggish coming off. I think he was injured for a bit. Now he's back and he
yeah,
was a
but the
little
goals came,
sluggish.
the
No,
buildups came off of his side though.
I guess the Pellegrini goal,
Yeah,
like
especially
the defense was
especially the
bad, man.
Salamakers one.
Yeah, the Salamakers one for sure. The defense
Yeah.
was the center backs were terrible. They were like 10 feet off of Pellegrini. It's like who are we
Tavares is
covering?
very bad in defense. He's
Yeah,
a very poor defender.
as every
And
good side back is. That's the
yeah,
modern
that's
way.
why that's why I think we're both believers in the three-man back lines, because you get those side backs out there doing what they're better at. Less
Yeah.
responsibility defensively, but they still play a role, and they can focus more on going forward. And I mean, finding a player with an engine nowadays is super easy. That's all these
Oh
that's
yeah.
the primary function of the modern player is engine. If they don't have that, what's the point of them? Because they certainly don't have any creativity.
You know me, man. I
You know,
never used to be like so. We would play, much of soccer stuff in the past and football games, but I never been like a big 3-man backline proponent. But that's back when side backs were side backs. But now, like I'm all for it. Like I almost always am like, yeah, you should probably run a 3-man now, just because all these side backs, they're almost all bad at defense and they're great at going forward. So I just see them almost always better at by wing backs. That's the modern
yeah,
day
I mean,
side back. I can't name one awesome defensive side back in today's game.
quite frankly, it's really hard to name a great center back. Anyways, I think the center
Yeah.
backs have about as much defensive prowess of side backs of the past.
Yeah. The,
So
the defense is just different. It's like team defense now. Your midfield, in my opinion, is
yeah,
even more important because there's no lockdown, amazing positional defenders. There's no more Maldinis. There's no more Nestas who are just class acts out there. It doesn't happen. So
no.
it's you get some good defenders, but there's nobody who's really worth their salt as far as like a top notch. But I digress
What do
into
you think?
that.
What do you think Lazio's lacking? Because Lazio is they they got hot. They were playing well. They had a couple stink bombs, namely the Inter. This Roma one was that it felt like a stink bomb. What do we do here to get? Because I really like this team. I love obviously Ravella too. I like seeing Romagnoli and guys like Lazzari, guys like Zaccagni. I like these guys, these players. I like Castellanos. I think he's a good actor. I don't think he's a striker. I think he's a secondary striker.
I think
But I don't.
Lazio more than almost anything, and I like Castellanos. They don't have like a killer striker, right? I mean, Castellanos is good. He works hard and he's a good player. He's not a killer striker, but more than that, they don't really have like some like experienced class player out there in like their mid slash attack somewhere along that line. They got
Well,
Romagnoli, who's a good
that's where they
leader, but
lost
they don't have
Pedro.
like right. But they
They
almost need
lost
like
Pedro.
some like experienced like leader out there who can even be like a sub or somebody like I just don't know. I mean, I'm not sure who that player is, but they have a lot of promise on this team. They're a younger team in general. Um, but there's nobody who's like taking the team to like the next level. You got like guys like Ravello's having a great season, and that's a guy who I could see becoming top class. He's had a wonderful season, but there's no like guy who's been there, done that a bunch for Lazio. They don't have one of those guys yet. You know, Pedro's that guy, but I mean, Pedro's what 36, 37. They don't have a starter who's been there, done that.
But
I
I
think that holds them
100%
back the
agree.
most.
This was the role that Pedro was doing before he was injured or whatever happened. What I saw in the Roma game, and this is what I saw in other games, even against the Lecce game when they were really struggling to bury, they finally got one at the end. It's a severe lack of composure in the box with their finishing.
Yeah, which
Like
comes with
they
class.
yeah, it comes with class, right? So, they all the players that they put on up there are really struggling to make, well, struggling with composure. So yeah, I think that you either run the 4-2-3-1. I don't like when they're in the 4-3-3. I know Delabashiru has had his games and stuff, and I think he's good as a sub and in a rotational sense in certain
Yeah,
matchups.
yeah,
I don't think
or
this is the
rotation
kind
is
of
good
game
for
for
him.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah, like in this kind of game, you need your class guys out there. It's going to be a structured, tactical game.
and it's a
It's
derby
going to get
too. Yeah,
gritty and
you need your
dirty.
class.
Yeah, yeah, you need your class out there, and you saw the difference.
You need your class and you need your grinta. That's how you win derbies. And look who came through for
Yeah.
Roma, right? You had your class with
Mhm.
Dybala, and honestly, and on
Dybala.
his day, Pellegrini is class. And then you had your grinta with Salamakers. That's what won them the game.
And Hummels was awesome today
Almost
too.
was good.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yep. Hummels
he's
was
been the chosen defender now. Ranieri finally was like, nope, you're my guy. He was getting a bunch of
yep.
inconsistency when he came here with just the variety of coaching and everything, just going kind of nuts at Roma. Now Ranieri's like, nope, you're my guy.
Steady the ship. I mean, before he even coached a game, they were like, "Oh, are you going to be using Cristante as a center back?" He goes, "Why would I do that? I have Hummels."
Yeah, you can see
It's the
Cristante
dumbest fucking
doesn't even
question
get
ever.
minutes anymore. He's done, man.
No, yeah, he's toast.
Did you see the red card? It was so bad.
Yeah.
It's such
Oh my.
acting.
So
Oh my
this whole
god, man.
game,
It's so bad, man.
I mean, I grew up playing. I mean, we played soccer our whole lives, but for me, it was always a secondary sport. I grew up playing hockey, so whenever I see people fighting
Oh
in
yeah, it's not
soccer
an
or
actual fight.
football,
Yeah, yeah, it's not
it's
a fight.
such a joke. Yeah, they're such candy asses. They're not going to back anything up. It's all hollow threats. Like, just punch him in the face.
Yeah,
Just punch him, pussy.
you won't see
Come
that,
on.
but
Yeah, just punch him. Be a
he so
man.
Hummels goes
Oh, they're just gonna
and
whine.
Castellanos are just kind of battling. Castellanos like the thing they do, they kind of push their head into each other, like they talk to each
Yeah.
other really close, like very close, and they touch
Oh
their heads,
yeah. Yeah.
and then they
Yeah.
touched
Yeah.
heads, and Hummels just flies back. He's like, "Come on, man!"
Yeah.
And
Throws himself on
they
the ground.
actually gave Castellanos a red card for
Yep.
that. Like,
He
come
gets red card. Well,
on, man.
they gave him a red card for kicking him in the crotch when he was sliding into him.
That's so they didn't do it for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fake
yeah.
header.
No, they didn't do it for
Okay,
the
all right.
yeah.
I thought that's what they gave
It's
the red
just
card for. I was like, there's
when
no
I see
way.
that, and there was a few games that got a little chippy, but
It's
whenever
a
I see that,
derby. It
it
gets
just makes
chippy.
I just start laughing because these guys are just they're
Yeah,
shells
they're not
of men. They're not even real men.
they're not gonna
It's
do
amazing.
anything. Yeah, they're not gonna do anything.
No,
But
no, I can't take it seriously. It's too amusing.
no.
But
Uh
it was a fun game to watch. It was my favorite game of the weekend. It may be the best derby out of all of them. I mean, truly, it
I would
always
say
gets
it I think it gets the most heated. I think it
yeah,
usually gets
it
the
gets
most
the most
heated.
heated.
Back when
Yeah,
Totti was playing, it was fun
yeah,
because like Totti always would get chippy. He'd always do like little dirty things, and it would just rile Lazio up a ton.
yep,
That was fun.
love it.
I say we do a
Yeah.
brief review of next week and then wrap it up here. I'll go game by game.
Well,
We'll give
I want
predictions.
to do one thing though because it is the halfway point. I want to do the ultimate team.
No. What?
Your
That's a
team,
separate
not
cast.
yet.
That's a much more fun little
No,
separate
that's gonna take
cast.
5 minutes. Take
No, it
five
won't.
minutes.
It's fun. It'll take
You
like
don't
20
think?
minutes.
All
You
right,
know we're gonna talk about how they're playing, who we should put in there. That's gonna be actually fun. No, this
all
is gonna
right,
go
all right.
forever if we do that. Let's do
All
preview
right.
and then we'll come back maybe midweek or a little later on the weekend or something like that with team of the halfway team winter team of the season. All right,
Okay.
Lazio plays Como. Great game for them to get back on track. They must get back on track
Yep.
now to kind of stop the slide. Both Fiorentina
Agreed.
and Lazio have easy games. You got Como, you got Monza. This is a perfect, and I mean I say easy with a grain, with a grain of salt, but this
These are easy
is
games.
they should
No,
win
these are
these
easy
games.
games. You need to win these games.
If you have
Yes.
any aspirations of top four, you have to clean house. I don't care how gritty the team
Yes.
plays, you need to win these games. So
Como has
Lazio
been
and
playing
Fiorentina,
well, but you are Lazio. You should beat Como.
definitely.
Yes.
Empoli, Lecce. There's some players that I like watching on these teams, but I'm not super interested in those ones. The next game though is interesting. Udinese versus Atalanta. That would be a good game to watch.
Yeah, Udinese always fights hard. They're a powerful team. And hey, man, if Tavan and Luca can link up just once, that may
Yeah,
be enough to
yeah.
steal a couple points away from Atalanta. But
I think
I don't
Atalanta's
think
gonna pull it
Atalanta's
off.
struggles are going to happen yet. Yeah, me too. I don't think their
Nah,
struggles. I think Atalanta and Inter are going to struggle once Champions League starts to ramp up. I don't think they're going to struggle just yet.
I think Atalanta pulls this one off either 2-1 or 3-1.
Yeah, 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1 Atalanta.
I think yeah,
They haven't
Empoli
been raining the goals
Lecce.
as much, I don't think.
I'm gonna go Empoli win 2-1.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Lazio
1
Como
nothing.
2-0.
Okay, I
Um,
like all those. I like
Torino
Lazio
Juventus is
Como
next.
2-0. Torino Juve.
What do you think Juve is gonna do?
Juve's
Juve is not looking good recently. What are they
no
gonna do here?
Torino. Neither has Torino can't score goals, so they can't punish us. I think it's gonna be 2-0. I think we handled them last time. I think that the few Italians we have on our roster are going to play really well, especially since Locatelli had kind of a stinker. I think that Juve is going to take care of business. But I have actually never predicted a Juventus loss so far, so they do nothing but prove me wrong. I'm going to go 2-0 Juventus and against Torino.
Next is Milan Cagliari. If it was at Cagliari, I would say maybe there's more of a chance of some type of surprise here happens because maybe they come down a little bit from the high of the Supercoppa. But I actually think they're going to continue their momentum. I think they're going to clean up in Cagliari. I'm going to go 3-1 Milan. I think that they're going to be on a
Yeah,
little bit of a high for at least a couple games, and then we're going to see how Conciecao does when the momentum has kind of faded a little bit, and now we just had to get in those grindy games. So I think they'll still
I
carry the
agree.
momentum through Cagliari, especially it's at home. The fans are going to be very, very supportive. If it was away, it'd be a different story, but I think Milan 3-1 here.
I hope the fans still chant Cardinale out, though.
Yeah, yeah. I hope they change
I
that
hope
too.
they don't stop that because you still have an entirely foreign team. This still is not a Milan team.
No,
Like,
it's not
don't
a
give a
Milan team.
crap.
I may like a lot of the pieces, but it's not a Milan team. This is an Inter team who wears red right now. And that's exactly what's
Yeah,
happening. It's a good team. Like
exactly.
I like a lot of the pieces individually, but this isn't AC Milan, right? So yeah, I agree. Genoa,
We're just a
Parma.
year behind you. Yeah, 2-1 Genoa. Genoa's been playing well. They struggle to score a lot of goals,
They
so
got
sometimes if it's not working right,
Vieira
they get
now.
those ugly draws. Yeah, Vieira's been doing a great
Yeah,
job.
he's been doing well. So
I
yeah,
don't
I
think
agree. They're
I
gonna win
don't
this
think
game.
he's lost yet. Oh no, he did. He lost to Napoli, but
Yeah, that's okay.
uh,
That's an okay loss to have.
yeah, 2-1 Genoa in my opinion.
Next is Inter Venezia. I don't think Inter's going to struggle against Venezia. It's at home. Venezia has shown some fight this season. I think they tied Juve right after that, or did they or no?
Yeah,
Something happened there.
yeah, 2-2. Venezia and
Yeah,
Juventus,
that's
baby.
right. But I don't think Inter's
And
going to
they
have
should
the
have
same
won that game.
struggles.
They actually should have won because that was a BS penalty that we got at the end. That was a 2-1 loss. Yeah. The Nicolussi Caviglia to
That's
Orestano
right. Yeah,
connection.
yeah.
It's the
He
greatest.
Caviglia
It's the
played well
greatest
in
thing
that
you've
game
ever
against
seen.
Juve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Venezia's goalie has been pretty good too. Their keeper's been solid.
Yeah, I don't think Inter's going to drop points here. I think they're because if Inter does clean up the next two games,
Oh.
they go top of the table. First game, I think they'll definitely beat Venezia, but their second game to kind of make up that point will be Bologna. That's going to be a big game because Bologna's been playing a little better, and if Inter does win it, they go top of the table, so they will be motivated. I think they win it. The next match is probably game of the week, Roma Bologna,
Yeah.
because there's not many great games
Well,
this week. So Roma Bologna is the
Roma
next one.
is Roma is red hot in form, and Bologna is coming off of a tough loss with the Pobega red card situation. And did you see the Pobega red card, by the way?
Yeah, we talked about it last time. We kind of joked about like Pobega, but you know what? We do owe our last cast an apology. It wasn't it wasn't like
He didn't do
it
anything.
wasn't a bad red
It's
card. Yeah, it
It's the
was.
dumbest thing I've ever seen. Could this sport be any more vaginal? I don't think so. I think that takes the cake. But anyways, that was a major loss because they were storming up the table, keeping tabs with Milan, chasing down Juventus. Now you got Fiorentina and Lazio struggling. So that whole like Bologna to Lazio range of teams, and you can even throw a long shot in there for Roma now since they've been having some form. All these teams are in the mix for those fourth to seventh place spots, and giving away points last week for Bologna was bad news. Running into Roma here, who's in form. I mean, that's going to be a
I
good game,
think
man.
I think
I
Roma
I,
is going to clean it up here. I just
I do
think
too.
that I mean Bologna could come back. You could be looking at a tie, but I just have a feeling Roma's going to pull it off. Might be close, maybe like a 2-1 win. I could see 2-2, but I'm going to go Roma 2-1 here.
Roma have been very disciplined and stout. And that's the first thing that Ranieri did when he got there is he shored up the defense. That's
Their
what every
players are
good coach
healthy
does.
too. They don't have any big
Yeah.
injuries. I think they're going to run the same lineup. They're going to run Dovik. They're going to run Dybala. They're going to run Salamakers. They're going to have the same lineup and keep it consistent.
Orsolini is back, which is a big a big
Will this
bump
be his
for them
first game back
because
though?
I think yes, he is a leading goal.
Hard to
He
say
played a little
how he's
bit.
going to be in his first game back. Will he
Yeah,
start? Will he sub on? I don't know.
yeah. They can Bologna can have their moment, that's for sure, and they're very well
Yeah.
coached. So that's a good game. I'm definitely going to be. I
Yeah.
think Roma will take it
That'll be the
as well. But
interesting game of the week. I think Atalanta Udinese is a little bit behind that one as far as like the other interesting game. There's not many amazing fixtures this one. We move next on to Napoli, Verona. I think Napoli's going to clean up there.
I
2-0,
have to
3-1, something like that.
2-0.
And then last but not least, we talked about it already, but Fiorentina
Yeah,
Monza. I think
5-0
Fiorentina's going to win that one.
Fiorentina. They're going to go crazy like they were doing at the beginning of the year.
4-1.
5-0 Fiorentina. 4-1. There you
4-1.
go.
They need to win.
Yeah.
I think we actually go and kind of semi-preview the week after because it's a very abridged week. It's not a real one. There's some makeup
Yeah,
games
it's
there.
makeup games.
You have
Yeah.
Como Milan. This was at Como. I think Milan is still going to have enough in the tank. I think it's going to be a closer game than the Milan Cagliari one. I think Milan's going to pull off maybe 2-1. I think they will win again. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Milan is definitely going to take it to Como.
Yeah.
I don't. I think Milan. I don't think Conciecao is going to struggle with player drop off the way in smaller games as much as Fonseca did. Fonseca's a real nice guy that no one really took seriously. He was undermined the day he stepped in. Conciecao does not have that problem. Conciecao was brought in out of desperation. No one's trying to undermine the guy. He doesn't have the kind of personality to allow that anyways. I think he's going to keep the boys rolling for the rest of the season. And like I was alluding to earlier, I don't really think he gives a shit if Leao doesn't want to play against Como. I think he'll let him sit that game out. But he'll find guys that are going to come in there and play and help win those games. And then if they're tight, he's like, hey, Leao, let's go. We got work to do.
right.
And that's kind of how he's going to handle it. That's kind of how I think he handled Leao. Make him feel special. Make him feel like he's the greatest thing in the world. And that's fine. Whatever. I don't care. That's how you want to be. That's the kind of person you are.
I'm
I'm not going to
definitely
fix you.
curious how he's going to manage it, but I think he's going to be a very charismatic character, very much like Conte, where people kind of like he's got his guys like Lukaku's been a problem at some teams, but he's not going to be a problem with Conte. He loves the guys. They
Exactly.
got their guys, and that's exactly the type of manager I think Conte is. So I think Milan cleans it up. We move into two very very interesting games after that. Atalanta Juventus at Atalanta. Man, I don't know why, but I'm seeing a 2-2 draw here.
2-2. Do you think we're going to score 2 goals?
It's
Yeah, I do too,
possible.
because Atalanta's terrible defense. Yes.
I think it's going to be a
No, I do.
2-2.
I'm
Or Atalanta
gonna
may win that
copy.
game.
I do not see Juventus winning. I see us drawing, if anything. But I see it. I'll say 2-2 as well. We definitely like to draw some games.
That'd be a very interesting game. And then the last one of that is Inter Bologna. I think Inter's going to have just enough for Bologna. It might be a close game, 2-1, 3-2, something like that. Probably 2-1. I think Inter's going to have just enough because they're going to want the motivation to end the halfway point for them, which would be match day 19, and get to top of the table.
And 4 days after that, they have a Champions League match.
Oh, dang.
Inter does.
Well, that actually changes
so
things.
Bologna,
I didn't think about that because they might actually, I don't know. I mean, it depends on their motivations to get the top of the league or to rest a couple guys and be fresh for Champions League. I don't know.
Atalanta, Juventus, Inter, and Bologna all have midweek Champions League matches after this game, this thing here, right?
Yeah, I mean, they should, and Bologna doesn't really matter, but yeah, it's kind of weird. They're playing all those three. They're all on like Tuesdays and
Oh, no,
Wednesdays.
they don't. No. Yeah, no. They have this midweek, then they have another
That
match
is
week on the
midweek. It's
weekend,
just
and
gonna be
then
busy,
the
man.
Champions League.
Weekend,
Yeah, just busy.
midweek, weekend,
Good.
and then midweek Champions League. So it's gonna be
They
pretty
can
wild.
play 2 games a week. They're going to be just fine.
Yeah, and the
They're going to
teams
beat
have
those
enough
giants.
players to rotate too. Like as you said, with
Yeah.
Como Milan, he'll probably rotate a couple players and then start, lay out in the bigger games. But that's what I think is
Yeah,
going to
I
happen.
think I don't think you're gonna have any problems with motivation with players and certain matchups and certain games. I mean, it's inevitable no matter what with any team. We've even seen it with Napoli at some points this year. It's just hard to get guys to come out of the gates, but they'll overcome it. I think they got a good coach now finally in Milan. So that's a team like talking about the pressure on those on positions 4 through 7. You got the people holding them right now are slipping.
Yes. And then
Juventus
the
has been
people coming
waffling
up
all
like Roma,
year.
Milan, Bologna are gaining. That this is going to
Yeah,
be a very, very good season. I think if there's a lot of battling, like inner battling between those positions, you might see Napoli run away with it because they don't have, and I don't really mean run away fully with it, but you might see them make small gaps now if they can stay motivated because they don't have Champions League football at all. So they might be the team of those top guys who are not really making mistakes against certain teams, and they might start pulling away with it.
it all depends on how Inter approaches these matches. If they're going to run their starters through the whole thing, I don't know who their next couple of Champions League matches are, but you know
Yeah,
there's definitely opportunities to slip. I think you're not going to see slips from Inter or Atalanta until like late February or March. I think that's when you're going to start
yeah. It
seeing
depends on how
the
deep they're going in the
slippage.
Champions League.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Otherwise, I mean, Inter's got still the best team in the league.
starting
I
lineup,
I
yes.
don't think that's yeah. I don't think that's going to change anything. And I think Napoli are the best coach team in the league, and they're performing that way. I
Yep.
think
And then
Atalanta
Milan's going to start
are
coming up the ranks
making a
now.
strong argument. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like with Milan and Roma coming up from the lower positions right now, those are two of the most talented rosters. Period.
Yeah, the difference is Roma's way down. Like they've got 19 matches played. They're at 23 points, so they're nowhere near it. So they're gonna have to win out to even
Hmm.
make Europe, or not win out, but come
Yeah,
close to it. Milan has 2 games in hand. They win 2 games in hand. They're at 33 points. That puts them
yeah,
into fifth place by 1 game. So I mean,
right.
and so they're right in those spots where they need to be. They're not gonna be challenging for winning the league at all. That's for sure.
No, they
But
already
they're
blew that. But
yeah, that's done.
yeah.
The half season was the Fonseca hire. Half season was just Redbird's mistake. That's all done. But they could make a good run in Champions League, and they could definitely and should get top four. If Milan doesn't get top four, it's
I
definitely a failure, big time.
I agree. They have the talent to do it.
They have like
They're
the
not
third most
so
talented
far
team in
away.
the league, maybe second,
I
honestly.
would say they're second. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
I
they're
think they have a more
second. And I
talented
don't
team than
think
Napoli.
I don't. Oh, definitely. I don't think they're that far off of Inter. To be honest with you, I think they're a couple pieces off of
I agree.
Inter.
I agree.
And yeah, I
A
think
D mid
they
for
just.
sure, and an actual
Mhm.
top striker, and then some defensive depth. That's it. That's what Milan
I would
needs.
say striker, D mid, right back.
Right back for sure. I
At the
think
very
they could use center
least.
back depth, like one more, but yeah, right back
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree too. But I think at the very least, I mean, Emerson Royale's a joke.
He is a
Like
joke,
he
yeah.
shouldn't even be on that team. And like, was Calabria that bad that
No,
Emerson Royale's
no,
better?
no, he's not. People just
Like
hate
Calabria wasn't
people just hate Calabria. Every season there's a
because he's
scapegoat
Italian.
at
Yeah,
Milan. There's a scapegoat at
yeah,
Milan every season.
yeah,
First it was
yeah. It's
Pioli, right? Because it's Pioli's terrible. Whereas he won a Scudetto, got to the Champions League semifinals, and honestly, he was an amazing man manager. The whole team loved him. Pioli's issue was tactically he was weak, so he would get out coached by all the big coaches. But otherwise, he was a good
yeah,
coach. Then the scapegoat was Calabria, and then Calabria hasn't been playing, but Milan still has the same defensive frailties. It was Romagnoli before that, and then Romagnoli was out, and now he's looking good on Lazio. Milan still has defensive frailties. And then the scapegoat was Fonseca, which I mean he wasn't the right hire anyways. And then it was Teo for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And now all of a sudden Teo has 2 great games, or like I mean, besides the one defensive mistake, he actually was one of the bigger reasons they came back. And now he's off the chopping block. As far as who's the scapegoat, it always happens at Milan. And so Calabria's like the bogeyman. He barely even plays, and people still hate on him. So it's really weird.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well, there's always an Italian player that they're gonna use to pick on, and
it's how
it's
it
it's
goes.
like
Yeah,
it's like Juventus's Gatti.
it's how
There's
the
been no
Italian teams are. You got to
player
hit one
who's
of your own,
stepped
right?
up more this year. Yeah,
It's a weird
exactly.
thing, man. Weird
That's
thing.
why our footballing culture's been absolutely destroyed over the past, what, decade or two.
Yeah, I
It's been
say
a
it a
real
lot,
shame.
man. England likes to build their guys up, and I think it's a great thing to do. And then Italy likes to tear their guys down. It's a shitty thing to do. So
Yeah, you
it's
actually
weird.
had Napoli fans huffing and puffing over the recent signings from Napoli, and I'm like,
Yeah, they're bringing in
what do you mean?
a couple young Italian guys, so and they're
Yeah,
getting
you're
some
bringing
flack
in
about it.
three young Italian kids that are super promising, and you have a team of experienced
Yeah, and
veterans
they're
that you
not
need to
spending a ton
build.
of cash on it either. It's
Yeah,
very reasonable.
yeah, it's like I don't even think they're spending 10 million, and it's like these are excellent moves. I'm sure they're not done, but it's also January. You don't build your team in January,
No.
so like these are all really smart, long-term plan
Yeah, we
moves
got to
that
do
any
a little
proper
Mercato
Italian club
update
should
in like
do.
a little bit here. So because we just started, a couple days ago, we'll maybe do a mid Mercato update in like a week, and then we'll do an end Mercato update in a couple weeks. So I think that's probably how we do it.
Yeah,
But
I with the Mercato, it's so messed up right now. I think everything is because there's so many games being played in between, and there's not a lot happening.
oh no, there's a ton of
Even
rumors. And I don't know if you've been following the Juve stuff, the
rumors, yeah,
Napoli
oh, of
stuff.
course. I've been following all of it, but like rumors are rumors. I don't know.
They are,
Like
but I mean, there's some that seem very likely, like Milan with Rashford, who's a pretty big player. You got
oh
Juve's linked with a
God,
couple people.
oh
I mean, there's some big names at least being linked, right? So
Rashford, please no.
I mean, as much as he's a bit of an annoying dude, he is a good player, and I think they're trying to get rid of Okafor for him. And objectively,
Yeah,
he's just a simply better player than Okafor. So
man,
that's how
yeah.
Redbird works. They don't pick the players that I
Eh,
often like a ton, but objectively, like that's a better player.
What are they asking for money for him?
I don't know. It's more about the salary. And it's gonna be a hell of a deal if they get it done. They're gonna have to have Man U pay like at least half or more of his salary because he makes 13 mil net. So Milan
Oh
will never
God,
pay that.
no.
So they're gonna Man U's gonna have to pay like 5 or 6 or 7 mil to kind of like cover some of that salary from Milan, and then there's gonna be some option to buy. So there's a lot of negotiations that take place. Juve met with them as well. Um, Como met as well,
Yeah, I'll
but
pass.
Como
Hard
can't
pass.
do it. So yeah, so we'll see what happens. But no, there's a lot of rumors to discuss. But we'll do that for another time. I am gonna run. And any final thoughts? I don't. I'm good. I think we kind of blew everything up
I have
today.
no
So
thoughts.
no
Nope,
thoughts. All right. Well, thanks
no
for
thoughts
joining
at
us,
all.
everyone. We will be back with another review, hopefully a little more on time this week around. Take care, and as always, Forza Calcio.
Ciao, ciao.